here we talk a little bit about myself, a little bit about, actually a little more about what it is that we want to accomplish together as a state. I don't know about y'all, but I am still buoyed from Tuesday night's election results. I could not be more excited for, as was said earlier in the program, the blue wave that I think is traveling not only across Virginia and New Jersey and the countless cities that have made history by electing history-making individuals. I'm excited about the blue wave that is going to overtake the state of Florida. And while I am a believer, this blue wave is better than the wave that we're going to have to deal with as a result of global warming, which we got a governor who doesn't believe in science. So I'm not sure whether or not we're going to be ready for that one. But I will tell you, it's a real pleasure, and I appreciate y'all indulging that video. I didn't know we were going to do that. Did I say opportunity enough in that video? I tried to throw in opportunity as many times as I possibly could, but that video was done by a gentleman named Mark Putnam. And Mark Putnam is the same gentleman who did President Obama's 2006, 2008, and 2012 re-elect ads. And right before we were supposed to film, the weekend, the morning leading into it, I called Mark. We had a staff meeting to talk about the shoot. And I said, I'm sorry guys, but I haven't gotten the script yet. Nobody sent me the script for tomorrow's shoot. And Mark Putnam goes, you know what, Mayor, I've been thinking about it. I decided we're not going to use a script. And I'm like, what? You cost too much money to show up in Tallahassee, Florida without us having a script to work through. And he said, no, I actually just want to take a chance at just talking to you. And so what you saw was he and I sitting down for about an hour. He's on the other end of the lens and he's just asking me questions. You don't get to see him asking questions, and I answered it as best I could. And then the footage that you see is footage that they collected. And I'm proud of what the result was. I'm even prouder that on that night before, I told my wife that the camera crew wanted to be at our house at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch us wake up. And you didn't see her until we got downstairs because she said, not me. You'll see me when I get up and get downstairs, not when I wake up in the morning. But I hope what you got from that is a sense of who I am. And I can't even underscore enough. I think one of the lines that is said in there is an attribution to the people in my life who cared for me and encouraged me and who thought enough of me to tell me I could when I didn't know, and all I thought is I couldn't. What you didn't see there amongst my siblings is that I'm the fifth of 7 kids, and the first in my household to graduate from high school. And the first in my household to also graduate from college. And to see my little brother and sister come behind me and do the same thing, you can't tell me that I don't know what it means to see intergenerational poverty. To see intergenerational poverty interrupted at the hands of a good public education system. And I gotta underscore again, public in the public education system. Our teachers, our teaching professionals, in my opinion, do some of the most difficult work that exists on earth. They're responsible in contribution and in concert with the mothers and fathers and grandparents and uncles and siblings who help pour into our children. But these teaching professionals are responsible in part for the making, the shaping, the molding, the inspiring, the encouraging of our most precious gifts, right? Our children. And I'm a dad to 3. We did my 3rd son a disservice. He wasn't born yet when that happened, but we got a 7-month-old at home. And when I think about the future I want for them, I think hard and long about the actions that we have to take today to make sure that the public education system in this state is around for them to benefit from, right? Because we have a legislature. We have a legislature that appears, frankly, hell-bent on privatizing the public education system. We have a Speaker of the House who refers to our teachers as evil. Not my words, his. We have a governor and a legislature that refers to our education, our teaching facilities as failure factors, right? Never mind, they don't tell us that we got some of the lowest starting salaries for teaching professionals known in the United States of America, right here in the state of Florida. They don't tell you that we're in the bottom 10% when it comes to per pupil spending for our children in the public education system. They also don't take the time to demystify the fact that many of these for-profit education centers are not actually passing facilities, right? They're taking money and they're not held to the same accountability that the public system is held to. And by the way, I don't know about you, but I don't buy into this mythology of grading our schools in the fashion that we do it right now, based off of how well a kid does on a test which, by the way, doesn't tell us what our kids know, but how well they take a test, right? Increasingly, you have higher education facilities deciding that they're no longer even going to look at high-stakes testing when they're looking at college admissions, because it doesn't tell them what a kid knows. It doesn't tell them a more total person, right? And so, in my opinion, that doesn't mean we don't take accountability. When I was matriculating through the system here in the state of Florida, we had accountability. We took tests, it felt like every week, right? Our teachers made sure that we were learning. And what I believe we need to do is take the handcuffs off of our teaching professionals and let them do what they were trained to do, and that is to teach, right? A science teacher, a social studies teacher should not be giving up his or her time for the math and science teacher simply because social studies isn't on the high-stakes test, right? Because then we're not producing real citizens, folks who understand what's at stake in elections, and don't think for a moment that that's by accident. Right? It's their intention to keep few of us educated and out of the process. Right? Because they win in that case. But no, I believe that this state deserves more than that. I believe our teachers deserve more than that. But more than that, I believe our students deserve better than what we are giving them. And I believe that we can do better by them. When I was matriculating here down in Miami, Florida, which is where I was born and then finished high school in Gainesville, my 4 older siblings who didn't graduate had access to skills training. They had shop, mechanical, electrical, which meant that if you were not on a college-bound trajectory, you could get a skill that you could monetize, go to work, get a job that led to a career that can pay you a wage that is livable, right? And that shouldn't be too much to ask in 2017, to ask for a wage that you and your family can survive off of. But unfortunately, roughly 45% of the people in the state of Florida today, working people, say that they cannot make ends meet off of the job that they work. Right? Yeah, we got a governor who goes around saying jobs, 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 right? Y'all have heard him. You've heard the mantra. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Well, you should take him at his word. In the state of Florida, under Governor Rick Scott and the Republican leadership, you're going to need a job plus a job plus a job in order to make ends meet. That's the vision he has for the state of Florida. Right? I believe in jobs too, but I believe in jobs that pay a livable wage, and better than that, y'all, better than that. Because I'm on board with raising the fight for 15. I'm on board with establishing a livable wage in this state as a minimum, but I don't know a person who wants a minimum. I really don't. Even poor folks that I grew up with, not one of them strove for minimum. They wanted to be rich like everybody else. They wanted the opportunity to excel. What wasn't there because of the structural barriers that exist was that exact opportunity. And we've got to make it possible that no matter where you come from, what side of the tracks you grew up on, what your mama or your daddy did for a job, for a career, for a profession, that you ought to have the opportunity to strive for the very, very best in life. And unfortunately, we know that based on where you live, your zip code is a larger predeterminant to that than anything that you do over the course of your 24 hours in a day. And that's extremely unfortunate. So back to the message of jobs. We have a governor who says he's not a scientist. Not that y'all needed to be reminded of that. But because he's not a scientist, he cannot say whether or not global warming and climate change is real. Never mind that on a non-rain day at Miami Beach, they're closing down streets due to high tide, which last I checked was a natural occurrence, right? We have yet to establish the first statewide commission to deal with the impacts of global warming and climate change on this peninsula of a state that we live in, right? Never mind that we sit at the epicenter of those impacts. Under Gillum administration, not only will you have us, first of all, I should say you have a governor who believes in science, right? And we believe in that in the schools. That's number one. But going to lean into the challenge of climate change to build a more resilient state. And what would it mean? What would it mean, just for a moment, if we could imagine, if we were going to make the Sunshine State actually mean something? And we were going to commit ourselves to solar energy and to make us the solar capital of the United States of America. We can do that. We can do that. On the same week that Donald Trump was pulling out of the Paris Accord, I was breaking ground on a 120-acre solar farm in Tallahassee, Florida that will triple the amount of solar energy that we can give in our country. That's what we were doing. And I believe we can actually do better than that. Why won't we be the pioneers of battery technology, energy storage? We should be innovating and creating in ways that teach every other state how to deal with this. They ought to be coming to Florida to learn what to do, how to do it, and then buying their goods and services on how to deal with this and build more resilient cities and states where they live. They ought to be getting that from the state of Florida. That's what I believe. And by the way, those are jobs that you don't ship overseas. You want to build a solar farm, you want to put a solar panel roof, you got to send a man or a woman up there to do that, right? And those are jobs, skilled jobs that, by the way, don't require you to have a college degree. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe that anybody who has the opportunity to go to college ought to be able to do so without graduating from under a mountain of debt, right? I believe you ought to be able to do that in the state of Florida. But I also believe that if you are not on a college-bound track, that you should be able to get a skill that you can monetize and get a job that leads to a career. That, by the way, doesn't pay you a poverty salary, but pays you enough that you can take care of yourself and take care of your family. We also have a governor who decided to back down from Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, and refused to expand Medicaid to 1.5 million of the most medically needy people in this state. You want to know what that cost us? Anybody know? Over the life of the ACA, it has cost this state $51 billion, our refusal to pull down Medicaid dollars. But you want to know what else it's cost us? It's cost us 1.5 million people, probably plus, who have had to rely on emergency rooms for their health care. And usually by the time they get to those emergency rooms, this is not preventive care. This is emergency, right? And it's gone so far, unfortunately, the unfortunalities of it is that usually their conditions have gotten so much worse and so bad, they're either going to have to be medicated or they're on the last days, right? So not only is it not right, it's also inefficient, it's also expensive, it's a bad form of care, it is not maintenance-y care, it is usually, these are unfortunately the worst kinds of healthcare decisions you can be making, right? Without any coverage. So it's not even good for the state, folks. And all the while, in the state of Florida, we got a what? We got a nursing shortage, right? My wife gave birth to our 7-month-old 7 months ago. I can do math. And the nurse that prepped her for surgery had to travel from Ponte Vedra Beach, 3.5 hours away over to Tallahassee, Florida. That should not be our problem in 2017 in the state of Florida. It just shouldn't be, right? So we've got to make sure that we, one, expand Medicaid access, right? We got to make sure that we expand Medicaid in this state. But the other thing that we have to do is we have to fight like hell toward Washington, D.C. One, to tell them first to keep their hands off of the ACA. That's number one. And thankfully, they can't seem to accomplish that anyway, but I'm thankful that